This is Umar for BoxNation. I'm joined by Frank Smith, CEO of Matchroom, having a rave up in Riyadh.
I like it. The music, can you hear that in the background?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Did that not get your interview taken down for copyright?
It might do. We'll find out.
We'll find out. Hopefully it's not too entertaining then, and then you won't be sad.
I do want an entertainment Frank Smith because you are the most hardcore fan of the Dmitry Bivol fan club.
Mate, he's my number one. He's my number one fighter. He'll be my first personal undisputed champion of the world. Eddie will obviously take the credit for it, but look back over the years, the journey I've been on with Dmitry Bivol, it'll be a big moment for me and Vadim, and then I'll let Eddie into the celebratory party.
Do Vadim and Dmitry remember he was Team Canelo?
Yeah, look, I think we're all sensible people. It was all part of putting the show together. Eddie's got a great relationship with Canelo. It's all about getting the best possible fights. And I think that relationship, working with Canelo, helped Dmitry Bivol get that fight and helped the position we're in today as well, in terms of his commercial, his commercial value over that time following that win. So, but I will always be the number one promoter for Dmitry Bivol. We'll confirm that this week as well.
He says this is a much more important fight. This has always been his goal compared to the Canelo fight. But that Canelo fight, as a young kid growing up in Kyrgyzstan and Russia, getting to Las Vegas, Canelo is one of the biggest stars in sport in general, and doing a real job on him. I mean, that takes some topping, but this is a special fight we've got on Saturday night. Yeah,
look, in that Canelo fight, he was never fazed. He never looked at any point like he was out of his depth. He knew what he was going in there to do, and an amazing performance. I think Dmitry Bivol is a fighter that, when he fights at the highest level, he shows the best of himself. Sometimes, I've said before, when going in with lesser opponents, he could be a bit unmotivated. And that's not just him, that's other fighters as well. Don't have that same level of motivation, whether it's in the training camp, whether it's in fight night.
It's a lot of elite fighters have that.
Yeah, because I think it's just like, they know what they want. I think when you saw him in that last fight against Malik Zinad, I'm not saying the level, obviously, of Zinad is anywhere near Artur Beterbiev, but you saw a spiteful Dmitry Bivol, someone who had been focused on the biggest night of his career on June 1st. Didn't happen, got rescheduled to here. And this is a massive moment for him. This is what, like you say, he's dreamt of his whole life, is coming up to this moment, becoming undisputed king. In probably the best fight in boxing this year. And one of the best, most anticipated fights in a long time in the sport that people have wanted for many years. We finally get to see it. And this is one of those fights without Riyadh season would definitely not have been possible, wouldn't have happened. So we're finally here, and he's got his chance, and he knows what he needs to do. And like I say, he's changed his life already in terms of financially. He's set for life, but this is all he wants. All he wants is to become undisputed, and he's waited for this moment for so long, and it's here on Saturday night.
I haven't spoke to many people, seen so many interviews from people in the industry who can't actually confidently pick a winner. Like, it's always, okay, Bivol, I'm going for, but, or Beterbiev, I'm going for, but. Like, everyone is changing their mind constantly over this fight. Not you.
I'll be the first one to say Dmitry Bivol undoubtedly goes in there. Look, it's a brilliant fight. It's a great fight between two of the best. And it's a bit like, we're talking about high-level sport here. You shouldn't be able to say 100% this guy's going to win, obviously. I believe in Dmitry Bivol. I believe he's going to go in there and do a job. I believe you're going to see the best performance of Dmitry Bivol's career on Saturday night because of what it means to him and what he knows he needs to do. But yeah, it's a proper fight. They've both got their own styles. They're both going to go in there and do their own thing, but that's what is going to make it such a good fight.
If you are correct and he comes through, and there isn't a rematch, we know there's no rematch clause, but if it's a fantastic fight or there's a bit of controversy, you might get a rematch. If there isn't, Canelo has said, at 75, Bivol's got all the belts, I'll go for that rematch. His Excellency's talked about maybe a Jai Opetaia fight at cruiserweight, a David Benavidez fight. So there's a lot of options for your guy there if he wins on Saturday.
Yeah, look, I think the Canelo fight, as you say, is interesting. I think there's also an interest from Dmitry as well to test himself at 168 at the same time. He's always thought about, he's not massive, he's always thought about an opportunity at 168. That could be an option. Like you say, Canelo coming to 175 again for the undisputed could be an option. There's so many fights out there. I think he's then got to decide what drives him, because he's made a lot of money. He's become undisputed. So it's like, what more do you want from the sport? He's had a tremendous career, but all eyes focused on Saturday night. No one's really looking beyond that. We haven't had a discussion about what's next. It's just focused on Saturday night and the fight at hand.
Talking about special fighters, you guys have got Jai Opataya in against another Brit. He keeps fighting Brits. Look, it's a very, very tough ask for Jack Massey. So should Jai come through, what's the plans with His Excellency in terms of a next move for Jai?
Yeah, look, I think, it's a tough fight, as you say. Jack Massey, I remember his fight against Joseph Parker.
Did well.
He gave him a tough night, and we've seen what Joseph Parker has then gone on to do as well. I think for Jai, I saw there's something about the IBF saying another mandatory. I think at that point the unifications would be key. Obviously, Chris Billam-Smith is fighting on the November 16th show out in Riyadh. The winner of that fight against Jai Opataya is a fight that makes a lot of sense, and that's something the IBF would, with an exception, allow for a unification. So they've got to be the fights he's got to look at, in my opinion, after this.
Okay. Finally going to get a win over Queensbury with Sky Nicholson?
I hope so. We're about 26-0 down, I think. We're just going to keep a run in total now for the rest until we retire and see who wins. And then as soon as we take the win, then we'll just retire.
I remember actually speaking to you at Trafalgar Square with Dubois Joshua, and you're the one who said about double points for that one. So
yeah, maybe we should can double points unless they're fights we're going to win. But look, I think that's a brilliant fight. Obviously, the first female world title fight as well here in Saudi Arabia. So excited for that.
Yeah. Who else have you got on the card? Is that it in terms of matchroom?
Jai Opataya, Sky Nicholson, and Dmitry Bivol.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Looking forward to Wardley and Clark though rematch.
Brilliant fight. That's actually my favourite outside the main event. That's a fight I'm buzzing for. The first time around was a great fight. I get on very well with both of them. I was speaking to Fraser the other day at the press conference because when I started working at Matchroom, he was doing security not long after that. So I've known him and been through that, those years. So I've got a great relationship with him, and Fabio we've also worked with for a long time and really get on with him as well. So two great guys, a great fight the first time around. May the best man win.
Have you seen Chris Eubank Jr. so far?
No. I haven't seen him. I haven't gone out my way. I haven't been knocking on his door though. So maybe tonight.
Okay. How are things?
No, look, I think I don't really listen to much in boxing, in a sense of if you listen to what people say in boxing, then you're in the wrong business. If you care about what people say, as in you have to be quite thick-skinned. It's a lot of he said, she said, this, that, the other. You have to just get on with it. I think the difference is with Chris is at that time it's obviously family. Like for me, I've been so at the time probably a bit more emotional about that. But thinking about it now, I couldn't really care less, in all honesty. He's never said it to me, to my face. I'll have a conversation with anyone about anything, and I wouldn't say anything bad about him. I've never said, you go back through any interview, I've never said anything bad about it, but take it with a pinch of salt. Don't read too much into it. And I think all part of the narrative that people around him as well help spin.
Okay. Lastly, you'll have George Warren, Eddie's behind me there, His Excellency, Spencer Brown, yourself. You've got everyone here. Do you think you'll get something near enough finalised regarding a Dubois Joshua rematch or whatever Joshua does next? Do you think that will be decided this week in Riyadh? Yeah,
I hope so. Now everyone's here, obviously. There's lots of discussions that have got to take place, and I hope we can. There's a lot of talk about the Dubois rematch. I think it's the right fight to do, and I hope we'll get there. I'm sure we will. I think it's the biggest fight out there as well for Daniel Dubois. In reality, obviously you got the Fury Usyk fight in December, but I think it's the biggest fight out there right now. So yeah, I'm confident we'll get there with it, and I hope we do.
And also maybe finalising the next 5v5?
That would be great as well. Hopefully it's a 5v5 we can win this time.
We shall see.
We might be even numbers at the end of it.
Frank, appreciate your time, and we'll speak soon.
Cheers, Bill.
What's up, man?